Okay, so let's just dive right in. Have you ever really stopped to wonder how we build our reality? I don't just mean the physical world, but in our own minds. Today, we're going to unpack this ancient concept called NamaRupa. It's an absolutely powerful way to understand not just the world around us, but our whole experience of it.
To really get to the heart of this, let's start with a super simple question. Just picture a newborn baby. When they open their eyes for the very first time, what do they actually see? How on earth do they start to make sense of that overwhelming flood of information?
Well, it all starts with just raw, unexplained impressions. A baby has no idea what a face is or what a sound is. They're just recording the pure sensory data: light, colors, noises, feelings. Their brain is kind of like a blank hard drive, just recording everything without any labels or judgment.
And this is exactly where the concept of NamaRupa comes into play. It describes this fundamental two-part process we use to build reality. You have Nama, which is those first raw impressions, the name, the identity, the sensory hit, and then you have Rupa, which is the form or the meaning we eventually give to those impressions.
This really breaks it down, right? On one side, you've got Nama. That's the raw data, the identity of a thing. And on the other side, there's Rupa. That's the meaning, the pattern, the whole concept that we build out of it. It's actually fascinating how our minds automatically take this jumble of sensory chaos and start organizing it into something that makes sense. But listen, this process isn't just about, basic survival. It's the very first rung on a huge ladder of awareness, of intellectual and conscious growth. The journey kicks off by just giving something a name, but it's a path that can take you all the way to understanding ultimate truth, or what's called satyam. So, we're taking this first step, using NamaRupa as the bricks and mortar to build our perception of the world. But what's the architectural plan? How does all this stuff get organized into a shared, coherent reality? Well, this brings us to another huge concept: Maya. Now, when you hear the word Maya, a lot of people just think illusion. But in this context, it's more like the system, the gravitational points that pull all our impressions together to create meaning. Think of it like the operating system for our reality. And here's the key: this system is not fixed, it's constantly changing, always in motion. For any shared reality, any Maya, to actually be stable and last for a while, it has to be built on 4 solid pillars. There's Dharma, the worthy actions we need to take; Artha, the meaningful results that come from those actions; Kama, the worthy purpose that's driving us; and finally, Moksha, that feeling of satisfaction and balance we get when the purpose is fulfilled. You take one of these away, and the whole structure starts to wobble. And the creation process inside this system, it happens in these 3 brilliant steps. It all starts with mantram. That's the idea, the mental blueprint. Then you get tantram, the plan, the organizational structure to actually make it happen. And finally, yantram, the action, the kinetic body that brings the whole idea to life. So simple, right? Thought, organization, action. But here's the twist. The reality we build is never, ever absolute. It's always relative, it always depends on the context. Its meaning changes based on desha, the place it's in; kala, the time it exists; and patratara, which is the unique perception of the person experiencing it. So what's true for me right here, right now, might be totally different for you somewhere else. Okay, so we're getting a handle on how reality is constructed, but what if we could do more than just observe it? What if we could actually become the architects? Let's talk about how this understanding turns into a seriously powerful skill for transformation. This is what's called NamaRupa Vidya. It's the knowledge, the skill to consciously create new realities. It's the ability to define a new Nama and give it a brand new Rupa. And this isn't just some mental game. It's the key to breaking free from old habits, old patterns, and things that are holding you back. In fact, this skill is seen as the very source of what's called Sanjivani Vidya, which is the legendary power of regeneration, the ability to literally bring things back to life. It's the power to create something fresh and new when the old way just isn't working anymore. And this is so important, the whole practice, the sadhana of understanding NamaRupa isn't just for intellectual analysis. Its real purpose, its core, is regeneration. It's all about deep, transformative change. And we see this principle everywhere in the ancient stories. When a new problem shows up, Vishnu takes on a new form, a new avatar to deal with it. Shukracharya used the same knowledge to literally recreate his people. This is the skill you tap into when our reality is falling apart, or when you're in a total vacuum and need to build something from the ground up. So we can create new names and new forms. Awesome!
But where does this journey actually lead? This brings us to the final, and maybe the most profound part of our whole explainer. What lies beyond all the temporary stuff?
And here is a fundamental, unavoidable truth. Every single name and form, every construct we create is temporary. Everything that is born is eventually going to die. It's the universal law of impermanence.
And this doesn't just apply to, people or plants. It applies to everything we create. Our thoughts are temporary. Our desires are always changing. Ideologies rise and then they fall. Even entire societies and civilizations, they're just a type of NamaRupa that will eventually fade away.
I absolutely love this analogy. Reality is like a massive flowing river. It's unstoppable. You can try to build a dam, hold on to a particular form for a little while, but you can't stop the river. Eventually, you just have to let go and flow with it.
So, if everything is in flux, if all these forms are temporary, what do we hold on to? How do we navigate this sometimes chaotic river of life without getting completely swept away? We need an anchor. We need a reference point that doesn't move.
That anchor is Satyam. It is the ultimate, the underlying, the ever-consistent truth that stays the same through all the changing names and forms. It's like the thread that holds a garland of flowers together. The individual flowers, the names and forms, they're going to wither and get replaced, but that thread, that continuity, always remains.
And that really brings us to our final thought. As we go through our own lives, creating and then letting go of countless names and forms, it's worth asking ourselves this really powerful question. If everything we identify with, our jobs, our beliefs, our relationships, our accomplishments, if it's all temporary, what is your anchor? What is the unchanging truth that you hold on to?